This report, it is a study report which was produced by the collaboration between UNDP and Life and Peace Institute. The report is a key and a breakthrough in terms of identifying ways to really check where the traditional and customary institutions facilitate reconciliation and conflict resolution mechanisms. We know that these customary institutions are very old in Ethiopia, and different cultures who have their own way of resolving conflicts. And these traditional mechanisms should be strengthened, they have to be capacitated. But in order to know where they stand and what they need, we have to do this study. So for UNDP and also for LPI, I think it is kind of baseline where it will be able to help us to really support the national dialogue process and also the transitional justice mechanism that Ethiopia has launched. And the mechanism should be an arm to the dialogue process in terms of peace building in Ethiopia. It is part of the national effort in peace building process. It's part of capacitating and strengthening these institutions to contribute meaningfully to the national dialogue process in this country. And that's why we have done this study.
The study report identifies interesting findings that would contribute to our future endeavors, particularly in terms of enhancing the participation of or the engagement of customary conflict resolution mechanisms in the country, in the big initiatives like national dialogue processes and transitional justice processes. So, what the basic finding of the report is, the country has been using customary institutions for millennia, and these institutions are currently very, very critical or important or relevant for the current initiatives that the country has embarked on very recently, like national dialogue processes and transitional justice processes. So we have been using them in the past and currently to bring out sustainable peace in local communities, but with certain support to these institutions. They can also be used to bring successful results in big endeavors like national dialogue processes and transitional justice processes. They face various challenges in undertaking their responsibilities, but even with these challenges, there are possibilities that we can utilize to engage in the national dialogue process so that they can be really, these processes could be very effective. So the basic finding is they are relevant, they can be used to enhance the successfulness of national dialogue and transitional justice processes. I think that is one major finding. The second important element is in terms of what could other different institutions could do so that these institutions could contribute in these national endeavors. So it identifies, for instance, what can National Dialogue Commission do, what can Ministry of Peace do, what can Ministry of Justice do in terms of enhancing their capabilities, in terms of enhancing their legitimacy, and also in terms of documenting what they have been doing so far in this country. So there are different recommendations that have been attached in their report, which would be relevant for different government institutions to follow on and implement. Also, there are certain recommendations that are also given for civil society organizations. As civil society organizations, there are areas that we can contribute to make these institutions more effective in their engagement in the national dialogue process as well as in the reconciliation processes.
Well, in terms of the way forward, this workshop has identified some key actions and which are, in our understanding, realistic and actionable recommendations. Um, those recommendations for the next step include, for example, stakeholders roundtable, which is very important. This means that we need to bring on board different institutions like the National Dialogue Commission, Ministry of Justice, and Regional Peace and Security Bureaus, Ministry of Culture and Tourism, and prominent prominent traditional institutions which are involved in this kind of process, the reconciliation and conflict resolutions. We really appreciate this kind of suggestion because we think that this is an important way forward for us to really move on to capacitating and strengthening these national institutions. Secondly, as way forward, we need to do more research, and in-depth research. For example, in terms of what is really needed to link them with the formal justice system, what is really needed to link them with the transitional justice system. Is there a way for these institutions to have, for example, intra-region conflict resolution mechanisms, and do they have that kind of practice, or do we need to establish one between regions? What's the linkage between these mechanisms and intergovernmental relations, which the country has approved as a policy some years back? So these are important important actions suggested by this workshop. And thirdly, we need also to link them with civil society organizations, because there is a need for knowledge and skill transfer and also capacity transfer. So these nationally owned institutions, age-old institutions, which need serious engagement in conflict resolutions, they need the serious capacity engagement with civil society organizations. So we need UNDP and LPI and others, like-minded organizations should sit together to find a way to support these actions.
Just to add a few things. I completely agree with what Officer said earlier. I think one very interesting thing about this workshop was the ideas it generated in terms of what could be done next to consolidate some of the conversation and also the study that we have done so far. I think the first thing that we need to do is the two organizations to come together, sit together, and have a conversation. What could be done next? Okay, what are the concrete steps that we can really engage as partners, and also what are the recommendations do require the involvement of other like-minded organizations, like some of them who participated here. I think that is very important for us, and to sit together and digest what has been said here, and agree on the way forward. And probably one thing that I would like to add on what Kisa said is, I think one concrete step that I also see is to organize kind of conversation with the National Dialogue Commission, if possible, because from what we heard so far, they haven't probably seen the report very well. And then only one representative attended this workshop. So I think there is a need to have a one-on-one conversation with the Commission and present some of the findings, not the big report as it is, but I think some of the findings and the recommendations, and hear their thoughts, and then where we could do together. Okay, what possibilities they see in terms of taking this forward, or probably they might think of us doing certain things that would benefit them. So I think in terms of that, I see it as a very critical step that we need to do as soon as possible. Yeah, this is a wonderful report. I will know it has a lot of wonderful findings and good recommendations.
Yeah.
And if you can really have a look at it, read it, and you can find things that are useful for your work, or you might also see things that needs to be complemented using other similar resources. Thank you.
This is also the policy brief. We extracted the findings and the recommendations from the major and the main report. And for those who would like to really push forward in terms of policy recommendations, this is a document that they can refer to. So it is, we can call it as a practitioner's manual. Okay, thank you.